Mute. Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is the Our Turf Football Podcast. I am Dana O'Gorman. That is Lisa Johnson and Kate Arhar. Can you believe that Lisa came back? We don't know where she's been. She's been gone for so long. We thought maybe she left us. Thought she decided she didn't want to play with us anymore.
You know what it is there's all kinds of quarterback talk to be had this week, and Lisa's all about quarterbacks.
Right.
I was like, I gotta go.
Here.
Gotta
that's
go.
why she's here. She's like, oh, what are the topics? Quarterbacks.
Right?
Whatever. No, Lisa, I think it was great. Well, we talked about it here on the show that you went down and helped hurricane victims, and we love that that you did that, and so we're very, very grateful for you and glad that you did that. For everyone.
Appreciate the shout out too. I listened.
Heck yeah, it was good, but we missed you.
Yes, I miss being here. Trust me. I'd have much rather been here, but like I said, I did what I had to do, and it was fun. It was a great experience. Helped a lot of people. So, but it was really good because we all listened to the show. We got back to the hotel, and everybody was like, "What are you doing? What are you missing?" So I showed everybody, and everybody was listening. So it was kind of cool. So, but I appreciate the shout out. That was really nice.
Awesome. Well, you know what we learned to do while you were gone, Lisa?
Oh.
We memorized all 3 locations of donkeys. All 3 of them. We are so good at it now because it was all. So, of course, we want to thank our sponsor, Donkey's Cheesesteaks in New Jersey. And apparently we're torturing some of our followers on Twitter because they're like, quit showing me food. I can't eat.
Right?
Oh,
they make me so hungry.
I know. They look wonderful. Medford, Mount Holly, and Camden, New Jersey. Go check it out. Tell them that the ladies of Our Turf sent you, and we'd be very grateful. So thank you. Thanks very much to Donkeys. Still waiting on our T-shirts, Lisa. Just saying.
I just say
it. That's all I'm saying. All right, everyone. So we wanted to start this week. We're going to talk about quarterbacks, and it's my least favorite topic. I'm not going to lie. Everyone knows that I am not here. Okay. I love Camden. Dana, do the YouTube shout out at the beginning. Camden, I would have forgotten. And I appreciate you so much for reminding me.
And I told you last week and I forgot to.
Know. It was out right on my brain. Everyone who watching over on Twitter, please come over to YouTube, join our live chat. We will put your comments and your questions over on up on the show, just like we did with Camden there. So Camden, thank you very much, my friend. All right. So look at, and Katie says, I'm guessing Donkeys doesn't have a lot of vegetarian options. No, ma'am. No, ma'am, they do not. Yeah, hopefully they'll have a salad. I don't know. All right, everyone. So we're going to talk about quarterbacks this week, which makes me vomit. You know that. They're just like my least favorite things in the world. I don't like quarterbacks. In fact, I got into a Twitter argument today, and what wasn't really an argument. It was a discussion. It was a good discussion. But then I got accused of making excuses for Russell Wilson. If you have ever paid any attention to anything I've said about Russell Wilson, I'm not making excuses for him. But we're going to talk about him here in just a little bit because we have a whole segment on quarterbacks not doing so well. So, all right. I want to start first, though, before we get into our quarterbacks, you guys, there was an announcement today from the NFL that said that they are now going to do on Amazon exclusive a Black Friday game. So now there'll be usually 2 to 3 games on Thanksgiving. Now there's going to be a Black Friday game. This just reeks of money to me, and it irritates me. It bothers me so much. These teams have to give up their Thanksgiving, but now they're going to have to, more teams are going to have to, whoever plays that Black Friday game is going to have to be out of town. And it's another short week game. Kate, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts on this Black?
Well, I find it irritating because that Saturday is rivalry Saturday in the NCAA. So I spend all day Friday getting my house cleaned and ready for my Ohio State kicking up on Michigan party Saturday. I mean, it's a big day for people to rest and relax after Thursday. I know people work on holidays and stuff, but the vast majority of people who work a typical Monday to 9 to 5 job are off Friday, and we're getting ready for a busy weekend of college football, and it's just a money grab. And I can't believe the players are any happier about it. I can't believe the players union doesn't have some kind of a say. I get that you can flex games and you understand that you might be a 1 o'clock game, but then all of a sudden they're going to move you to 8:30, those kind of things. But to add an entirely new day and the travel schedule for that has got to be a hot mess. If you were going to, I mean, what game is it? Are they flexing a Sunday game back to Friday? So if you were going to travel for Sunday, you probably weren't going to travel till Friday afternoon or Saturday morning, maybe, depending on it. Now you've
Probably
got to go
Saturday.
Thursday. Yeah. You've got to go. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting from the standpoint of looking at which game they pick.
Absolutely.
And it'll be a little, I want to say, depressing for the teams picked from the standpoint of these Amazon games on Thursday night have been like, what, 9 to 12, 3 to 6.
So
like
bad.
They've been
so bad.
And so if I got picked to play a Friday game, I'd be like, I hope my field goal kicker's ready because there's going to be a bad. It's got the Amazon jinxes going on with the Amazon Prime games are all about kicking. So I just, I would love to say, yay, one more day of football, but this just feels, with the 17-week season and the injuries and the risk to add a whole separate day, just feels a little.
It does. And that's what Graham has said in here. He's like, it's all about player safety, though. I agree. I think people are already complaining about the Thursday games and what that's doing to teams. And now we're going to throw in another odd day. It's odd enough around Christmas that they throw in the random Saturday games, but at least that's just one day different. I really struggle with this one because it just feels so, like I said, just a money grab. Like there's no point for this. Lisa, I saw a lot of people talking about how this interferes with college football and that they're really getting tired of the NFL interfering with college football, especially that weekend.
Yeah, that's a crazy weekend to do it. But it's just, I wonder, it's just all about money. I mean, there's not even a feel about it because we all 100% know what it's about. It's just like Thursday night games. And it's just hard for me right now because I used to kind of like the Thursday night games until what happened to me with the Dolphins because I just feel like the whole Thursday night game almost ruined our season. Because it was it's too much. You gotta. I don't understand how they can't do these buys with these teams. Whoever plays on Thursday should have either the bye or coming off the bye. Making these guys play on 4 or 5 days rest, and some of them are beat up.
Too much.
It's too much. And now you're gonna throw in a Thursday, Friday rivalry Saturday. Then we'll have a full game slate to Sunday. So it's just so much to take in, and it's just I'm trying to wrap my brain around the ratings because I mean it's the biggest shopping day of the season. It's not like people are going to be watching the game. You have family in town. You're going to be shopping. I mean, I'm kind of concerned. I'm just thinking about the ratings. What kind of ratings?
Well, pretend the NFL doesn't assume Black Friday is just a day for women, and women don't matter when it comes to ratings.
We're not going to assume that because then we'd want to punch somebody.
I'm looking at the schedule. So for Thanksgiving, the matchups are Buffalo against Detroit, Giants against Cowboys. That could be a really good game. Yeah, and then Patriots Vikings. But then the Sunday game so I don't think they're going to move a Thursday back.
Well, it's Friday, not this year. It's next year in 23. So it doesn't start until
so it doesn't matter what my matchups are. I was looking to see which matchup we thought would be the most interesting one to move.
Right.
And none of them are any good. I mean,
Jed Cooper in our comments
are any good.
No. Jed Cooper in our comments said the Sunday schedule after Thanksgiving weekend is going to be ugly. 8 teams missing for the Thursday, Friday, and then 2 more for Monday Night Football, which I forget it. They do usually double up that Monday Night Football plus any buys. So what are there going to be? 4 games? That's a great comment, Jed. Thank you. It's what is there going to be? 4 Sunday games? Like, I mean, it's kind of bizarre, right? Like it is. They're making themselves a little thin, which you can't tell me then that one of the networks is going to be happy about missing one of their games. CBS, Fox, whichever one loses that game to Amazon. That can't make them happy either.
Well, that's why I was looking at the schedule to see if any of the Thanksgiving game, because Amazon usually gets Thursday night. And I'm wondering if Amazon didn't complain and say, well, we get Thursday Night Football, but there's no Thursday Night Football because of Thanksgiving. You give one to each of the big 3 networks. Give us something on Friday. Then who do they take away from one of the Sunday games? Who do they take away from? Or do they just go back to the regular 2 we've always done on Thanksgiving and then the Amazon game Friday?
The third one goes to Friday.
Look at the terms of the TV contract for that third game they added to see if maybe that's up after this year. And this is sort of their way of saying, oh, by the way, we're not renewing your contract for that game. We're moving it to Friday.
Yeah, that might not be a bad idea. 2, then 3. That I can almost see happening.
Right. So Katie in the comments, Katie, I hope you're okay with the fact that I'm not going to put your comment up because Katie has a little bit of swearing in there. But Katie, you know what? I agree with you completely. But she says she hates Amazon's coupling with the NFL because the games are increasingly inaccessible for ordinary folks who can't pay for a bunch of streaming services. That's a good point too. It does take one off of your regular television. I agree. I agree with that completely, Katie.
But again, on the bright side,
and
you
I agree
get
with your
full
swear word
coverage
too.
on Twitter. You get full coverage on Twitter from us, and they've been painful games. They have been boring.
Right.
You haven't missed anything.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, let's move on. The reaction I saw was not super positive on Twitter, so I don't think that we're the only ones complaining about this at all. All right, so let's go ahead. I want to talk about, we're going to start our quarterback conversation. Excuse me if I retch a little in the middle of this, because good Lord, but we're going to talk all about quarterbacks today. Lisa's so happy. So I want to start with the questionable play of some of the more elite quarterbacks. So I'm calling this the beginning of the end of an era. And the reason why, and this has less to do with Russell Wilson. We're going to talk about Tom Brady. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers. We're going to talk about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is not, I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. But what we've been seeing that's coming out of Brady and Rodgers, who are consistently some of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterbacks in the league, we are seeing bad play. We're seeing inconsistent play. We're seeing a lack of, the Washington Post today called it, and I said this on a podcast earlier today because I found it. It says that they're like creaky old men, cranky old men. And because that made me laugh because that's what we're beginning to see. Tom Brady, we know, is having all kinds of issues within his home, his personal life. He's throwing iPads. He's screaming at his offensive line. He's having complete meltdowns, which we've seen him do before, but I don't think we've seen it quite to this extent. Aaron Rodgers looks like he can barely stand up every single time he gets hurt. It's like, I want to take the guy a walker. I'm not even kidding you. Like, he comes up and we know his thumb is injured. I know he still has a beautiful throw. When he throws the ball, it's beautiful, right? It's watching them through these progressions and these games. They don't look like the old reliables we have gotten used to seeing. Tom Brady right now, his QBR in his last game, which they lost to the Steelers 20-18, 58.2. 58.2. Tom Brady, people. He had 243 passing yards, a 62% completion. Now, 62% completion is not completely out of his realm because he would have games like that on occasion over the years, clear back. But this year, he has had 2 games with over a 70% completion. He had 1 game at a 52%, his first game of the season, 52% completion. He has had 1 game, it was 190 yards was all he had. We just aren't seeing his quarterback rating 58, 48, 69, 53, 27 in that first game. This is not the Tom Brady we know. It is, in my opinion, that he should have retired. He should have walked out on top. Is this the end of Brady? Lisa, I want to start with you. Is this the end? Is he even going to make it through the season? Is he done after this?
I'm sure he's done after this. He looks old.
He's got to be, right?
And you know what? It's funny is if you go back into our archives, I don't know how long you go back. We had this discussion, and I swear it was about 10 years ago. We had this discussion about Tom Brady's career end, that it wasn't going to be ugly because he was a type of player that doesn't want to stop playing.
You're right. We did have that conversation.
And we all agreed that it's going to end ugly because he just doesn't want to ever give it up. He just, and this is what we're seeing. And we were dead on right 10 years ago. This isn't a guy that could have gone out on top. Anytime he could have retired after the Super Bowl, you're going to be remembered now as the guy who just kept trying. And he looks old, and the discussions are the same way, and the thing is I don't know what's going on in his private life. I mean, maybe he came back to football because they were getting a divorce and he wanted a distraction. Who knows? I mean, we don't know.
Right.
All I know is he looks horrible. He's had something done. I'm sorry. He's had something done. His face is totally different to me. Yes, I mean, I'm not.
He does
Come
look a
on.
little weird. Yeah. Fair.
Something's off here. Something, and he looks like he's lost a considerable amount of weight.
Mm-hmm.
He looks very thinned. He looks almost like his draft picture. I swear, I hate to say that, but when you go back to his draft picture, it's horrible. He's doing that. But I mean, we talked about it, and we said the ending of Tom Brady was going to be ugly because of the way the guy plays, and just will not. I think his father even said that too. That because we had
I think that's what triggered the conversation. Was something his dad said. Yep, I remember that.
Right, because everybody thought he was going to go out a Patriot forever, and we had the conversation. He said, "No, he's not going to stop there. He's going to just go until somebody physically has to take him off the field."
Well, Katie has a really good point. She says these dudes have their entire identities connected to football. So when it's time for the wheel to turn, they can't let go. They'd rather stay in decline in the face of the unknown. You are absolutely correct. And I feel like that is especially true with Brady. Maybe not so much with Aaron Rodgers. I have a different theory on that one. But that he doesn't know how to not be a football player because that's all he's ever done his whole entire life. And I think he panicked after he said the word. He never actually said retire, but we all know what he meant. And I think that he panicked after this. It is fascinating to me. So, Kate, I want to talk to you about Aaron Rodgers just a little bit. So Aaron Rodgers, in his last game, they lost 27-10 to the New York Jets. I just want to say that out loud once again. The New York Jets. Yeah. 4-2 New York Jets, the 5-1 New York Giants. I don't know what the hell's going on in New York. Wait, was that you, Graham? Who said that today? I can't remember who said the Packers are the cheese in a New York sandwich. That was hilarious because they lost. Both of them made me laugh a lot. I think it was Graham. But anyway, his QBR in that game, 16.9. Aaron Rodgers, right? He had one touchdown. Completion percentage 63.4%, 246 passing yards. But that's what we're seeing. He's had a couple of better games. No, not really this year. He has not thrown for over 300 yards once all season long. Not once. He has had a QBR of 16, 51, 45, 65, and 29. Now I know people don't go about that stat. They have some questions, but here's the thing. It just gives you kind of a overview of what, we're seeing here from these guys. Here's my theory, Kate, on Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is in full give a shit mode. Like he does not care anymore. He's just out there making his money with his stupid haircut. Yeah, he's got an injured thumb. I think that it was I think that he came back. He's out there purely for dollar signs at this point. He does not care. And he's starting to now feel the wear and tear of football more than ever. But I also wonder, is he training the way he used to if he's just there for money? Is he practicing with these new wide receivers that he completely complains about all the time? Like what? He's driving me crazy, Kate.
But he looks like the penguin. Like we've all seen the penguin memes with the hair and all that stuff. I love your expression. He's in I don't give a shit mode because he is. What's interesting to me about both of these guys, Brady and Rodgers, is that this is the first time I can remember neither one of them's in the top 10 for fantasy points, for passing yards, for QBR. Aaron was dead last. I think he's 20th in fantasy rankings, which is just unheard of. But then I looked at what's going on with their teams in general. Do you know who the backup is for these guys? Because if Tampa Bay decides that there's something up with Tom and they need to make a move, his backup is Blaine Gabbert. I don't think Tampa Bay has an option. The Packers is more interesting because they have Jordan Love sitting there. And I think at some point, we know Lisa loves Jordan Love. And that Lisa believes when you draft a quarterback, you need to start a quarterback. And I think we're getting close to the point where he's sat long enough. And if Aaron doesn't get rid of his I don't give a shit attitude and start doing something a little different, even the fans are not going to complain if this injury suddenly becomes such that he needs to sit a week or so and Jordan Love starts getting some time. At least for Packer fans, they've got an option on the best that it may be time to start looking at their future. I don't know what the Buccaneers are going to do if this is it for Tom.
Right. Well, they just don't really have many options, much like you said.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Camden said on here, she's like, Rodgers should have gone to the Broncos. And it's interesting you bring that up because we're going to talk about Russell Wilson next. And then we all pretty much agree that that was the plan, right? You bring in Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers is going to trot right along behind him. That's why I really don't think that Aaron Rodgers cares about what team he plays for. He just wants the money. That is one of the reasons why. Or he knew that Hackett was a really questionable coach, but that's we already had that conversation a couple of times on this show. So I want to talk about Russell Wilson. I don't consider Russell Wilson in the same league as these guys. Career wise, I do think Russell Wilson has been an elite quarterback, but he hasn't been as consistent as Brady and Rodgers. But he has been one of those guys that, you know, when you bring him in, he's a top 5, top 7 quarterback. And so he was going to make these changes to this team. That hasn't happened. I don't think it's age with Russell Wilson. A lot of people do. He can't run the way he used to. He can't do those things as much as he used to. I think that there's a whole lot of other things going on that would take up an entire show that we don't have time for. But he is really struggling too. 35.8 QBR in his last or QBR total overall. He really has been struggling. QBR 34, 15, 47, 32, 47. His completion percentages better than the other two, 53, 53, 68, 60, and 45. Here's what's very interesting to me. I think the difference between this is I think Russell Wilson has time to figure it out still. I do not think the other two do. I think that they're done. I think this is the end for both of them. I think that if you plan on wanting to see them live, then you need to go do it this year, because whereas I think Russell has time to figure it out, whatever they're going to do in Denver, whatever is going on there, because there's a plethora of things going on in Denver, but I think that he has time, but I just don't see it for the other two. And that's a little weird to think. Yes, we know Brady's 45. Yes, we know Aaron Rodgers is. How old is he now? 37? How old is Aaron Rodgers? Hold on. I got it right here. Let me look. He is 38. Holy cow. Yeah. This is it, kids. I think this is it. This is going to be the issue. So it is a little sad to see kind of these. And they could have gone out on top. Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl. Peaced out. He was done. You know, Drew Brees had a great season. I'm out. I'm not going to go down. You know, we saw this. Eli Manning struggled for a little bit, but still was with the Giants and still playing pretty well. He was out. These guys both had the option and the opportunity to do that, and they decided not to take it. So, I don't know. Be weird to think of the league without a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers in it, but I think we're real close. So, all right. Let's do a little switcheroo because we mentioned backup quarterbacks. And we talked about Jordan Love, but I want to talk about a couple of backup quarterbacks that are actually playing right now due to injury and playing quite well. I think at first we have to start with Bailey Zappy. So he has gone in for the Patriots, came in, has won a few games, has played really well. Let me see if I can find his stats really quick. And he has surprised a lot of people. I think in fantasy football, he still is not getting great numbers, but it's not about fantasy football, people. It's about winning games. And that is what he has been able to do. I didn't think of Bailey Zappy as a prototypical Belichick quarterback, but he seems to be doing somewhat okay in that system. Lisa, what do you think about this kid?
Every single backup for the New England Patriots seems good. Every single time. And you got to go back to coaching. It's coaching. That, you know, they know what these kids can do. They put an offense that's very easy, very simple for the guys to do. You know, just execute it. And if you execute it, put yourself in a chance to win the game. And they've done that. When Zappy came in, it's the same thing. It's just, I go to coaching on it. To me, it's they put the game plans in for these kids. Something simple. Don't give them a lot of things at time, and just let them develop and learn. And you could see it from the first time he started to this game. It's a totally different, you know, first team reps matter. People don't think that. When you see these guys come in cold off the bench, it's like a deer in headlight look. It's like, oh, wow, game's coming at me real fast. I didn't take snaps with these guys. So you give these guys a week of first team reps. And we'll go to the Dolphins too with Skylar Thompson. He looked like a whole different quarterback when he started that game. And Mike McDaniels hit on it. You give these kids first team reps, That's who's going to start. Who practices is who starts. And I think that's the way it should be. There's some exceptions, like you said, if you got the elite quarterbacks, of course they can, sit a couple games and rest and come in and still be top tier guys. But with these kids is, they're taking full advantage of it too. And you have to. And I think I tweeted that out. I mean, this is your opportunity. I laugh. It's like the backyard football. I mean, who fantasizes? You go back, you win, you throw the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl as you're a kid.
Yeah,
this is your chance right here, and you need to make the most of it. And every single New England Patriot quarterback does that. And all he's done to me is show other teams what he can do. So once again, you might see him go to another team, Jimmy G. Yeah, look at the list of the quarterbacks. Brissett starting in Cleveland. I mean, he was a backup quarterback for the New England Patriots. I mean, look at the stats with the Patriots.
And Belichick has no problem getting rid of them. Like he's like, yep, they played well. Give me some picks for him. Like they're moving right around.
Jimmy G, we all thought Jimmy G was going to take over for Brady. He was the new. They shipped him out. He had a great. He came in a couple times when Tom went down. He had great games. Boom. There you go.
Yep.
Brissett, the same thing. Went to the Colts, starting quarterback.
Yeah.
So
it's been pretty interesting. With it. Mm-hmm. That's very true. That is very, very true. So Zappy, he in the couple of games that he has played, they won this weekend, 38-15. Sorry, Kate. But they played well against the Browns, and then QBR of 56. Completion percentage of 70, passing yards 302. He did better than the three quarterbacks we just talked about. He has been doing better than the three quarterbacks we've just talked about, which is very fascinating. And I think that's why some of these kids get a lot of hype. Of course, you need to see longer, things about him. But I think that he has been really interesting because I wonder if they just kind of come in and it's like, well, if I'm terrible, I'm a backup. Like, who's going to be mad, right? I mean, seriously. But they are trying to get a job. But the other one I want to talk about is Cooper Rush. So we all heard that Dak is going to be back now pretty much at this point, right? He's waited his 6 weeks. I really thought they might try and bring him back for this Eagles game, but they didn't. And Cooper Rush has played really, really well as a backup. Kate, when there was that conversation of because we talked about it a little bit with Michelle, is there a quarterback controversy in Dallas? I never thought that there were, but Cooper Rush has played really, really well.
He has. And I think if he'd have beaten the Eagles, we would be having a very different conversation right now.
I agree.
The loss to the Eagles just made it easier. I think Jerry was going to bring Dak back anyway. It just makes it easier because he lost.
Yeah. Yeah. The Cowboys lost 17-26 to the Eagles.
Yeah. So I will say I love Bailey Zappy, and somebody ought to be out there making T-shirts that say Zappy Hour and Don't Worry, Be Zappy, and just I could go on for 20 minutes. The fact that the Browns
we're going to make those T-shirts now.
Yeah, the Browns made him look like he was better than Brady and Rodgers, and don't get me started on the team he played this week. But for a fourth-round draft pick, he's taken his shot. He's thrown 4 touchdowns and only had 1 interception, which is a nice ratio at this point. Defenses don't have a lot of film on him, and this week they got a ton of film on him because we let him do whatever he wanted. So we'll see how the rest of his season goes. Cooper Rush is different in that I think even with the film, defenses still had a hard time with him. Philly aside, the other teams that have had to deal with Cooper Rush have had a harder time with him. And I don't know at this point how durable Dak is. I think we may see Cooper again before the end of the season. And if not, he has done, I think, enough for his stock to make him either an attractive target on the free agent market or for Dallas to trade him and get something for him if they need some pieces and parts later. He's done a very nice job on that team. I think the defense for Dallas helped a lot with good field position and being able to keep the opponent's point levels down and stuff. So he's benefited from that more than someone like Zappy has, where the Patriots have just been very inconsistent and stuff this year. So I've been enjoying watching Bailey Zappy play more than Cooper Rush. And I will say on a personal note, it's because I drafted Dak Prescott in my fantasy league and he's still sitting on my bench. I'm going to need him at some point. Zappy's only owned by less than 2% of the league in fantasy. And I think that's going to change, not just because he's playing better. but we have started the bye weeks. And so now that when we have bye weeks, fantasy players are more willing to take a shot at someone like that for the week that their regular quarterback's gone and just see how it goes. And so we'll see if his 1.9% ownership in fantasy goes up this week.
I think it might. I looked about picking
process tomorrow.
I thought about picking him up today because as soon as Brady is done with this week, because he plays Carolina this week, and maybe he'll give me some points. He's out. Gino's in the rest of the year. That's just the way it's going to be. And I'll pick up Zappy as a backup. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's been fun. So I think this just goes to show how important backup quarterbacks are again, and training them and giving them the time that they need. I think that we've always known that. I think everyone who's ever had a quarterback go down know how important a backup is. But sometimes it feels like to me that these teams don't treat it that way. That they don't, unless you see a team that grabs a veteran at the end of their career and it's like, okay, like Joe Flacco currently, for the Jets and some of those others when Matt Hasselbeck went and played for the Colts, that sort of thing where they brought in the veteran, then they kind of treat it a little differently. But really, to me, I feel like sometimes it's still a throwaway position. And I think this year of all years has really taught us that is not the case. So,
yeah, the Browns did that when they signed Brissett, but they knew Watson was going to be out for a certain number of weeks. So it's not like they signed him just in case someone gets hurt. I find what's going on in Pittsburgh interesting with the Mike Tomlin moving, Pickett and Trubisky in and out. He can't figure out what he's doing. And then we'll talk about Lisa's Dolphins. You have Tua who gets hurt. Bridgewater is hurt. Then Skylar Thompson comes in, and now you've got the Panthers with they signed Baker Mayfield because Sam Darnold got hurt, and now Baker's hurt, and then Eason was in this week. And I don't know if the Dolphins or the Panthers gave enough thought to their backup situation or thought they would be 3 deep on the depth chart.
We did.
Week 6.
We did.
So that's kind of highlighted. It is not even it's just your backup. We're now 3 deep on some teams.
Yeah.
So
this is great. They're literally quarterbacks because that's about as long as they last. Graham. That's kind of true. And you're in the Dolphins
on some level, it makes the 49ers decision to sign Jimmy G right before Trey Lance got hurt even more of a genius move.
Mm-hmm. It really was.
Because he'd have been snatched up by somebody if they had not have re-signed him right when they did.
Especially now.
Oh,
I mean, it's crazy. He would have been, especially if we would have gone through this with training camp, he would have been clearly traded, if this started happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Crazy.
The two, I want to switch from talking about these to a couple of really elite quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, you guys, that game was so fun. I had such a hard time. I was switching back and forth between the Seahawks game and the Chiefs game, and I recorded them both. I went back and rewatched them both. It was amazing.
How in the world could you give advice to somebody and tell them to bench Mahomes?
That's not what happened.
A game like last year, these guys put up phenomenal numbers. I mean, it's
lies. Here's the thing. You know what it was? It was kind of a flippant answer because this Bills defense was insane. The week before, Patrick Mahomes had not looked fantastic. And I'm like, you know what? The Bills might just eat him alive. And I really truly thought Gino would have a better chance of getting. I mean, Gino's been getting he's been getting 40 points, Lisa. And so it's like, I think that makes sense. But here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing about those two players. There was an interesting comparison made, and they're like, oh, Mahomes and Allen are the new Brady and Manning. And I had to make my face. I had to make the
face.
No. And here's the reason why. They haven't been in the league long enough. They're fantastic. They're the best quarterbacks in the league. There's no question about that now. But the history isn't quite there that they had with Brady and Manning and Brady and Rodgers and Brady and everyone else that has ever played in the 20 years that he has played that have been good. We have to remember that. So I'm not sure it's quite there rivalry-wise, but talent-wise, it's just so fun to watch those two play against each other, and it makes everyone else in the league jealous. We really want those teams. But it was a really great game. I have a feeling we'll see those guys again, for sure.
Well, and for me, that's part of what's fun is they're not in the same division, but they do play each other, and they are definitely an option for a playoff matchup. And just for those of you who argued with Dana about her flippant remark to bench Mahomes, Lamar Jackson had more fantasy points than Mahomes this week. So it's not like Josh Allen led
Thank you.
with Joe
But it
Burrow was
wasn't.
behind him.
But it wasn't a Lamar Jackson question. It was a Geno Smith to Mahomes. And when
Lisa,
you
Geno
look
Smith
at the
has been
Bills,
getting 4 points.
listen,
Geno Smith has been playing
all you
really
need to
well and
know
getting a
is the
ton of yards,
history.
and he had an
There's no way.
easier defense to play than Mahomes.
Yeah,
The
much.
problem is,
Mhm.
what I tend to forget, and I think maybe Dana forgets, is when you go up against a difficult defense, you end up getting behind, or you end up in a shootout where you've got to throw the ball and you
Ed,
can't
thank you.
afford to run.
Doesn't matter.
So
Thank you.
Geno had more time for them to do running plays, which is less fantasy points for him.
Right.
No,
No,
that was
Lisa
a
Lisa
no-brainer.
missed, obviously didn't watch the show that we did our whole Geno conversation and how impressive that has been. Yeah,
She's a hater.
Yeah. Oh, Camden lost by 1 point. So you can't even tell me. Yes, baby, you would have won. I'm so sorry, dear. But okay. So here's I like the comparison. I like watching the two of them play. I think they're a lot of fun. And yeah, they're gonna wreak havoc in the AFC for a long, long time.
And never bench Mahomes.
Yeah. Go ahead and bench him sometimes, because sometimes he doesn't play well. But
Ride Mahomes to the end, Cameron. Right into the end. Trust me.
Do it. I know. I thought the same about Brady, and look what happens to me.
Oh, but come on.
I know. All right. Guess what, you guys? We're
Do
gonna
not get the head out.
From the hat. All right. As for those of you who might be new to us, we have this game we call From the Hat. It is the Cam Newton hat that says that we don't know how to know about football. Anyway, I put 32 teams in this hat at the beginning of the season, and we have been slowly taking them out one by one. And the job of the team you get, it is for you to tell us why they are going to the Super Bowl. Does not matter what team it is. Doesn't matter how bad they are, how good they are. You need to tell us why they are going to the Super Bowl. We love snarky and cheeky answers. Michelle is really good at this game, our friend Michelle who joins us. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead. Pull one out. This one is for Kate.
Who's the Browns?
This will be easy. This will be easy for you. No, we've already done the Browns. The Panthers.
Okay. Oh,
Kate, why are Panthers going to the Super Bowl?
Because they've shaken everything up. They got rid of Matt Rule. They got rid of their defense coordinator. They're bringing all new people in. Ben McAdoo and Steve Wilkes are going to get Eason ready. You're not going to see Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold for the rest of the year. Eason is going to take this team to the promised land. No one's looking at them. No one's expecting them. And Christian McCaffrey is actually going to stay healthy for the rest of the season. That's right. You heard it here. They're going to ride Christian McCaffrey's healthy legs, his healthy knees, his healthy hamstrings, all the way to the playoffs and the Super Bowl.
Unless they trade him. But yes, absolutely.
Which, since we're down to Easton, they may consider for a draft pick.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think that conversation is being had.
Yeah.
All right. Nice job, Kate. Panthers are going to the Super Bowl.
If you give Lisa like the Eagles or something, I will climb through my screen and hurt you.
Son of a mother. Why do these guys get the easy ones? Jeez. The Buccaneers. Why are the Buccaneers going to the Super Bowl, Lisa?
The Buccaneers are going to go to the Super Bowl because Tom Brady's going to turn it around. He's going to take the Aaron Rodgers approach of just relax. I've been here. I've done this. I'll have a few bad games here or there. Screaming out of his offensive line is going to set fire to these guys. Mike Evans is going to start stepping up. Julio's going to get healthy. Going to start, he's going to have his targets back. So defensive-wise, they're going to be fine. They're going to stay in these games. So Brady's going to bounce back, be the Brady that we saw years ago. So it's going to be a just relax situation with Brady. And Fournette is going to start running the ball. Means going to have a balanced offense. So that's why they're going to win.
And their coach is going to quit telling them that they suck.
Yeah,
because he sure did tell them they sucked this week. Nice job, the Buccaneers.
I'm
gonna get like the stupid Texans or something. I don't even know. All right. Aw, the Dolphins. Graham was right. Graham said he's like, Miami's coming out tonight. The Dolphins. Why are the Dolphins going to the Super Bowl? Because of Hipster Homebrewer. That's why. Hipster Homebrewer is going to figure out how to get all of these backups. He's going to start playing all three quarterbacks all games, every game. He's going to rotate them in and out because he doesn't want any of them to get hurt and make him look like he's, a dumbass for putting them back in again. He's going to start rotating him in. Tyreek Hill is going to be healthy and not have to be taken out of games. And this Dolphins team is going to just rocket the rest of the season by rotating. They're going to rotate those quarterbacks, all three of them every game. You never know who you're going to see under center. It's going to be so much fun. And the defense will get healthy and everything will start to line up just right. Maybe.
It's not how you start, it's how you finish, right?
That's what
she
Pete
said.
Carroll always says. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. We're getting low, you guys. We don't have a ton of teams left. I'm excited. We've done a pretty good job at that. I'm telling you.
We've had fun with
need
them.
your team to be hyped up, just come to the Our Turf Football Podcast. All right, everyone.
The glow.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to glow up your team.
Do something with them, right?
I had to do.
And if you're a fan, you're just
funny,
like, yeah.
2 weeks ago, I had to do the Jets, and I was pissed. And this week, I totally could have done the Jets. It's like, that's how quickly it changes in this league, right? That is how quickly it completely changes in this league. All right, everyone. Well, that is our show this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Our quarterback talk. Oh, I'm so glad I don't have to do that again the rest of the season.
Next week.
Now.
Yes,
next week, kickers.
Do it. Next week, we're going to talk about kickers and defense. The
whole offensive linemen.
I love the big uglies. Well, you guys can always watch us right here on YouTube. You can also watch us. We go live on Twitter. You can also find our podcast on any of your favorite streaming services, Apple, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, any of them. You can just Google the OTFB podcast and you will find it. And we hope that you guys will check it out on your YouTube channel. Please give it a like and subscribe so you know that when we go live. And then you won't have to get those constant reminders on Twitter. Come chat with us. Come chat with us. We thank you guys so much for joining us. We thank you for all the great comments, and we will see you guys again next Tuesday. Bye-bye, everybody.